So here we are, everybody. It is October something. What is it today?
The 25th. It's almost Halloween. My goodness.
Yay! So Tech Tuesday for this week. Welcome everybody. Kathy Inman, ER Wolf, that side, here to answer any questions that you have about Shuffle and talk a little bit about some techie stuff with the app. So we'll wait for some other people to jump on, but until then, does anybody have any questions? Can we just take any open, random, I'm trying to do, I can't figure out?
We'll walk through it.
Happy
Anybody?
to answer any of them. Nothing?
Well, I have one, I think.
Okay.
Okie dokie.
I think I know what it is.
No, I figured it out.
Oh.
Kathy helped me last week.
Okay, perfect.
There was a solution, but it wasn't the one I was expecting it to be. So I figured it out. It's working and it makes my life so much easier. Thank you.
So good. I know it's not always the elegant solution, but there always is a workaround when we identify it. So I'm glad you found it.
Yes, thank you. So I'm trying to get used to using the app also and showing other people how to use it. And so one of the questions I had as I was sharing my card today with a new person. So they scanned the QR code and saved my contact information.
Yes.
But one of the features I'm sharing with other people is that you can track when people are opening your card. But in order to do that, I have to have them in my app first. Is that right?
That is correct. So we can talk about it from the mobile app perspective. If you're doing it from the mobile app, we can talk about it from the desktop perspective, or we can talk about it from both. But
that would be start with a mobile app, and then that's probably the most common way people share.
I'll share my screen here in just a second, and then we'll go through it. So the key here, Tonya, is when you are using the mobile app and sharing your card, you're going to want to make sure you're generating a card for the person you're sharing it with. Now, with that being said, you don't have to build a whole contact for that person, but you do need to at least start out with a name at a minimum. I typically would like to gather their name and phone number or name and email address to help me out, but you can always add to that contact profile over time. So I'm going to bring up my phone screen. Hopefully you guys are all seeing this.
Yes.
And we'll do it how we normally do it. We'll start from the blank screen. We're going to launch the app so you can see the shuffle icon I have down here at the bottom. It opens up to your cards. So that's the quick thing. When somebody says, yes, I need your information, we want to pull it up. We want to go to the cards. We want to scroll through and find the card that we're going to share. Okay. And I'm just tapping on the card like the construction card, and it's giving us this whole menu. And I'm going to click on the send card option. And this gives us those little 4 options. Am I sending it to somebody new? Which in most cases, if it's a new relationship, you're going to want to hit that new plus sign. And what I want to call out is it pops up right at the top. It says first name, last name, email address, phone number. You also have your OCR, your object content recognition for your scanning of their business card. If you wanted to do that, just realize that's part of a process that takes a little bit more time. But at a minimum, put in their first name, hi, Jane Doe. It was great to meet you. Let me give you my card. And, if you want to add an email address or add a phone number, you can also do that really quick. Sometimes if I'm in person with people during the send method, when I have this screen up, I'll actually hand them my phone and let them do the data entry, put in your name, and that typically they're not sitting there idly by. I'm more letting them do some action. And I'm also sort of validating the information that I'm collecting from them, if that makes sense. But once I have that information in, then I'm just going to hit the little check mark, and you'll see I can add it to my phone contacts. If you're a person like me where you get a call from an unknown number and you don't answer it, consider adding them to your phone contacts, especially if it's a new relationship. Oh yeah, that's Jane Doe. Okay, she's calling me back. Because on your card, if you have those numbers and stuff, you're going to get an inbound call from somebody if that's the goal of the card. So you could hit yes. In this case, I'm just going to hit no because we're doing this as an example. And then I'll just hit without lead capture. And I'm just generating the link unless she's asking me to text it. And on this link page is the QR code. So I could say, oh, go ahead and scan it. Or I could say, great, I've copied the link. how do you want me to share it with you? So this is a trackable link, and this is something we called out on an earlier Tech Tuesday. I think it was maybe when Kathy was traveling. If we look at this picture where we generated the link, right down here at the bottom on the tail end, you'll see a little question mark T equals. When I'm looking at the links that I'm sharing and I see that T, in the back of my mind, I think T equals tracking. So that's all you have to validate when you're sharing your card is T equals tracking. I'll try and zoom in right there on it. And so that's the link that's going to track back to that individual. So I'm going to hit done here on this little screen capture. I'm going to copy the link and I'm just going to paste it into my browser here so you can see what happens when they open it up, even though I'm opening it up. And so now this is as if Jane Doe had opened it. And then I'm going to get all the tracking on my end that Jane Doe viewed the card, if that makes sense, because I've sent a Jane Doe link. And so you can generate those links for individuals as you share them out. Or if you're sharing out to a group, like a certain event, a certain location, also you can use campaigns to create a tracking link, but it tracks across the group, if that makes sense. So those are the two things, and all of those links will have that T equals in it. Anything you want me to go back through or get into more detail with? Make sense?
Yes.
So the only thing I would recommend, and we talk about luck is when preparation meets opportunity. Part of the preparation, open your app and go through that share process 3-4 times, right? Oh, okay, I scroll down to the card I was looking for, standard business card from Kathy. I go to hit send, so you know what the process is like. I hit a new contact, I hand them my phone, they fill it out. I go through the steps, you know what I mean? And then I get the link and they scan it off my phone. So even if they're scanning the QR code, you want to generate the right link. If you're sending to somebody you've already sent information to before, instead of using new contact, you'll use a shuffle contact. Then our people like the Jane Doe who we just already interacted with, we don't have the redundancy because they're already in there. So it'll always generate a tracking link for that individual. If you're a person who has multiple pieces of marketing content that you use as part of your process and you don't blast it all to somebody at once, I share Kathy my business card, and then I follow up with her with the service brochure information, and then I follow up with her with the order card. I want to just keep dripping it on the same contact so it will generate a trackable link for that contact without me having, I skip over the new contact step, essentially. If I'm doing the campaigns, that's what I called out earlier. You tap a campaign, you can create a campaign for that card. In this case, we'll say, event on 10/25/22. Nobody's going to see this, so this is for your information for tracking. I like dictation, so I'll use my little mic on iPhone. This was the business networking event just before Halloween that was over at the Downtown Business Arts Center. Again, something that's just going to help familiarize myself with that, and I'll add it. This is also where you would add any lead capture stuff, but you can see it generates a link that I can use at an event. It generates the trackable URL, but the key to all of this, as we talked about earlier, it generates the T equals tracking right there. So that's the big thing for anybody on today's Tech Tuesday. If you're looking at your card links, and you don't have to be link experts. I mean, I've gotten to the point where I could look at a Google link and say, oh, they're tracking this, oh, they're tracking this, oh, they're tracking this, because it's really long. All you have to remember in our links is T equals tracking. So if I just shared my card by itself, I'll sort of drive the point home here. We're going to get out of the card and we're just going to show the QR code, or that doesn't show the link. We're just going to preview the card. When I open up this on the card preview for the card that Kathy, you can see there's no T in there. So if I shared this link, I would have no tracking. People would still get to the card and it would still serve a purpose, but I'm losing out on that valuable tracking. Hopefully that helps everybody. We can look at it on the desktop as well if you want to see the flow on the desktop, but usually when you're not in person, you've got a little bit more time to manage it on your computer. And that's typically if I'm emailing somebody a link, or if I'm going onto a social media site and I'm, instant messaging somebody or Facebook messaging somebody or posting in a group, I'll be at my home on my computer.
If you've ever trained with me, there's a whole nother way to do it than I do.
Do you want to do it? Kathy, go through it, because here's the cool part. You want to find what works for you so that the flow can become quick. That's the flow that I've become accustomed to. It's tap on the card, fill it out and add a new contact, send it to them. But Kathy, you're more out there networking all the time. So show us your process.
I'm in my account. So,
Do you want to walk me through the process on my phone?
I'm just warning everybody I'm in my account. Crazy. And see, Anna, this is where it tells me, it says plug in my iPhone. I don't know why it's iPhone only. I'm sure there's a way to do it otherwise. Those Androids. So what I do is you guys know, I tell everybody, I live in contacts.
Yeah.
So once my cards are built, I never
Mhm.
really go back to my cards unless I'm making a card adjustment, because it makes sense to my brain. So say I meet Tanya at networking, which I did. So if I meet Tanya and I'm networking, I'm adding her as a contact. So that makes sense to my brain.
Yep.
So I go to contacts, I hit the green arrow or the green plus sign, and I just hand her my phone and say, hey, fill this out for me. Give me your name and number.
Process. Yep.
Similar process.
starting
but
from
I
a
do it
Fill
different
out
for-
screen.
the form. Now, what
I
I
do it for
love about
contacts.
this, Kathy, is this contact section from the contacts has more data fields, guys. So
Yep.
You see Kathy nodding her head. Information is power. Instead of collecting a first name, a last name, an email, and a phone number, all of a sudden they're putting in their Twitter. They're letting you know that they're the CEO of their company. That all of a sudden their Skype ID is in there, whatever. And the business card scanning is in both locations. So if they're giving you a physical card and you have the time to do it, you could scan that card and it'll suck all the information straight into the form.
Yeah. So this way, if I just go give me your name and number, they're like, oh, you want my email address? You want my this? You want my website? I'm like, yeah, put in there whatever you want.
You go,
Right.
go to town, right?
Right? Go tell me all the things. Add new. Okay. So then I hit the check sign, they hand it back to me. I show them, I'm like, oh, I can add you to my phone. I just now I'm like training them as if they're going to want Shuffle, because of course I know they're going to want Shuffle once they see it. And then
You're
I
almost
go
like
here,
pre-positioning it. Yeah.
and all I do is go to my shared card. That's
Yep.
where I pick my card.
And then all
So I
your
just do it
cards
a
will
little
come
bit
up there.
backwards.
Mhm.
So I get your information first. I'm still talking to you. I can do, like he said, I can do this in my sleep. So at this point, now I'm asking you, what's your dog's name? What's your kids' names? How often do you come to this meeting? And I'm still talking to you. I'm on this
you're-
page. I pick what I want to send you, hit send, go. And I'm fit. Now I'm just talking to you. And you're like, oh, I got that. And I'm like, yeah, push the link.
Yeah.
So I just do it a little bit backwards instead of worrying, especially if you have the 100 card upgrade. Otherwise, I'm like, which card is it that I'm trying to send this person?
Yeah.
I want it to look simple and easy. So I'm like, put in your information. I'll pick the card later. You're not waiting for me to figure out what the heck I'm going to send you.
And I'd encourage, try both routes, see
Mhm.
what makes the most sense for you. Because the app opens into cards first, I'm always starting from where it opens up. Because Kathy deals with networking most, she's always saying it's about the relationship. So I completely see that. And she starts with the contact. I love these topics like, I'm going to give you my phone so you can do the work, because that keeps the person busy and they're putting in all the data entry, right? So it's going to be accurate. How bad am I at spelling people's names if I've never met the person before or they have a unique name? I've got a name like ER. It's 2 letters, but I get a question every time I meet somebody that's like, how do you spell that? How do you pronounce that? How, what does that stand for? All of these things, if they just gave me it and I'm like, boop, 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 and then I hand it back just as you saw Kathy get it back, and then you're hitting add to phone. Here, I'll just add you to my phone. It's that simple. And then underneath every contact profile, as Kathy was showing, you have my shared cards. Now, the key with that is it's just like going into the existing contacts and sending something new to a contact. You can keep going back to that contact at any time, going to my shared cards and sending them another card and another card and another card. And we always
And
say,
if you go back to it, you can also see what have you already sent them, how many times have they looked at it. It's also just a little chart for you
Yep.
to go back to.
And we have that global activity, but when you can zoom in on an individual contact and see specifically what is this person doing with the information I've given to them, I think that's what highlights the path on ongoing sharing that Kathy was showing as probably the most valuable path. Because if Kathy shares 5 pieces of information to 5 different people, and she realizes 2 of those people have looked at every single piece, and one of those pieces they're looking at multiple times, now she knows how engaged they are in the information that she's sharing with them.
Can you give an example of what additional information you would share later on?
Sure.
After you've met it? Yeah.
Great question. So again, depending on what you put on your digital business card or what business you're in, let's say I sell a nutraceutical product, or I even have a catalog my company has that has hundreds of products, okay? And I introduce myself to somebody and I say, here's my digital business card, but I don't put any links to my product catalog or my products. I just say I'm a health and wellness expert, and I would love to get to know your health issues so I could find solutions to help you. And then we get on a call post introduction and we have a conversation, and I realize, oh, Tonya, you need products A, B, and C. Maybe I don't want to fire you off a card that has our whole catalog. Instead, I'm firing you off a card that has an overview of product A, my top selling product, product B, another card, my top selling product, product C. Usually if you have a big catalog of products, you probably have the 80-20 rule, right? 20% of that catalog represents majority of the sales. But then I go, hey, but if you enjoy those 3 products, we have 100 others. Let me send you a link to the digital catalog. Now I've separated all of those things out into consumable bite-sized chunks. We know that if somebody gets overwhelmed or blasted with a lot of information, a confused mind always says no. But if we say, hey, you're looking for product A, and I give you a card that just says, this is product A, watch this video about product A. Here is all the ingredients in product A. Here's what product A can help support. Here's a link to buy product A. Now you're not being confused about product B through Z. You're only focused on product A. So that's one example. It also depends, like if James was on this call with his DJ business, he would say, this card is for my request a song as a DJ. Oh, this card is for my virtual tip jar. You can Venmo me or Apple Pay me a little tip, or this card is for booking me as a DJ. You don't want the person paying you a tip to get confused about booking you as a DJ. You want to simplify the process so that they pull out their Venmo and give you money. And that's really what dividing everything you do up into different cards is all about. It's about just sending the right information to the right person at the right time.
Yeah,
Kathy,
I've heard that
it's so
somewhere
funny because we say the same thing, right?
It makes so much sense. Well,
It
it just
does.
depends, right? It depends on if you are you multi-business or are you multifaceted in your business, right? So if you're
So true.
in insurance, so we've set up people with an insurance card, like, hey, I'm Bob, I sell insurance. But then if somebody's like, hey, listen, I just bought a new boat, I need boat insurance. Hey, let me send you a card on that. It's going to have the link straight to boat insurance. It's going to have any questions that you have, just about boats. I'm not going to confuse you about go to page 3, scroll down to the bottom, boats is in the list, go to the menu, blah, blah, blah. So you can actually give them an overview card on everything that they do, and then give them little breakout cards, like he said, just depending on the topic or what, or like for me, the different businesses that I do.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have examples on that they're using different cards and how they do follow up or send different things to the same person?
I mean, I can think of a bunch, but
Here, Des got some.
Well, I'm kind of late to the party, but I was traveling back today and listened all the way on a 2-hour drive. I listened to a really interesting podcast that I think applies based on kind of what I'm hearing. And we've talked about this before and I won't give away the brand name, but I'll just use a general term of marketing hub. Okay. Everybody can grasp what a marketing hub. Well, with LFI, you have a digital marketing hub.
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's start with that. So whoever you are, and I don't know, have you guys ever heard of, kind of your hero page? A lot of the websites, if it's you personally that is behind what you offer, you need to make you as the hero. Maybe you're working with a part of a company or something, then it's you got to give the company's story or mission. but people need to know the story and all in the hub. And so what this, what I took away from the podcast was similar to what we've been talking about for weeks, ER and Kathy, as using, it doesn't really matter the software, but LFI is perfect for this because you get the 10 cards, you could be a beginner, and you could immediately just, if you can absorb this concept of the marketing hub, your initial, where people land, they need to get to know you. Hi, I'm fill in the blank, whatever, and then get to know you. And then from that point, you can have a digital card from that hub, like spokes in each one. And I like to use the word funnel, but it doesn't really, because you're taking that person through a simple click where it's they're 2 clicks away from pulling out their credit card instead of 36 clicks away when you go to a traditional website.
Yeah.
So if this is kind of making sense, and this is, again, something that I've been working on, but it helps when you have other people sort of really define it and say like, oh, I was like 90% doing that, but I really get this last 10%. And that's kind of where I'm coming into the call right now. Getting back is really getting more clarity on, and again, you can use whatever term you want. I like the term because, LFI is a digital business card, but your digital business hub or whatever, without having all the things that you do all over. And I just get overwhelmed on the first page. Let me get to know you, and then let them self-select. So I know ER, you just mentioned send them the right card, and you can do that if you're dealing with someone who wants to get more leads and whatever, then you send them that card, or they just want to get on a call with you, you have a different card for that. But I really think that when a person lands on your initial card, if you can make it super simple, let them get to know you, have that personal video or whatever on there, tell a little bit about your story, your mission, your movement, whatever that is, and then let them self-select simply without being overwhelmed with what does this person really do. Make it give clarity and simplicity so that when they do click the button, like you just said, they go directly to, I want help with losing 10 pounds in the next 5 months. And this button's going to take me right to that product. And I don't have to jump through 7 more links and hoops and some confusing MLM landing page that talks about cruises and everything else. You got to make it real simple and get to those back pages or wherever you want them to go through your digital marketing hub. Yeah. But whatever you want to label that, but that's what I call it.
I think that's a good way to think about it, Jeff. Digital marketing hub. It's like all of your marketing information in one location with easy access. One of the things that I would encourage everybody to do is think about the systems or processes that you already do manually in your business. You introduce yourself to people. Okay, you're just using a card to support the introduction. You take orders from people. Okay, you could have an order card that's like, just push the button and you're already linked to my page and you can put in your order. You can have a catalog card or an individual product card or a service overview card, but you're thinking about what types of common questions you get from people. And I would also encourage you to think about, like I always talk about sort of 3 areas of business or 3 columns. The first column is lead generation, right? So how am I capturing leads? Maybe I need a lead capture card, oh, give me your information, scan this, and they can fill it out. And I don't really have to create a link for that person. I use a universal link and they're filling out the information. Then once I have that lead, I'm going to do what Kathy did, pull up that contact and send them additional cards on my shared cards that might support the next step. So lead generation is one area where you think about what types of cards would support me generating more leads and more prospects. Then there's this hello to enrollment process that every customer goes through. Sometimes it's a single conversation. Sometimes it's multiple conversations over time. And there's going to be information and material that supports those conversations or those interactions. Maybe it's a card that just has a video that highlights the business or the product or the service. And all you want them to do is watch a video. You send them oh yeah, hey, I'm going to share a video with you. Take an opportunity to watch that video. You go to that contact, you go to that My Shared Cards, you select the video card, you share it off to them, and you're going to get alerted whether they open the video card or not. And then it's like, hey, Tanya, it's ER. Did you get a chance to watch that? Oh, you're watching it right now? Awesome. Well, I'll wait a few more minutes while you finish up that video. And then I want to ask you a few questions. Now you're starting to leverage the tool to progress the progression of hello to enrollment. By the time they get to the enrollment decision, they're like, okay, I've got it. I'm ready to order. What do I need to do? No worries. Let me just send you my order card and it'll walk you through the steps, or the product card. Again, depending on what your business is. The other thing to think about is the last category, which I think it's overlooked in supporting our customer life cycle and our customer journey, and that's post-enrollment. Now I've got a customer. How do I keep them longer? How do I increase their basket size? And most importantly, how do I turn them into somebody who becomes a conduit to refer me to my next potential customer? Because we want to not just sell to people, we want to sell through people, right? So I might say, great, here is a card that talks about how to use the service, or how to consume the product, or apply the product, or get started with the product. Maybe if it's part of a bigger team, it's a card that's like, now that you've enrolled in the team, here's a getting started card on the steps you need to take to make sure you're in alignment. And it could be like, set up your auto ship, select your products, build your back office, apply for this, download your shuffle, create your cards. What you're trying to ultimately do is create this viral or this circular loop where every prospect turns into a customer, turns into a promoter, and leads to the next prospect. And it sort of starts to expand from there. I hope that helps as well. But that can help us ideate a bit and identify, oh, you know what? I get the 10 most common questions card, then I'm going to create a card that's frequently asked questions. So instead of sitting on a phone call for 10 minutes, 100 times a day, answering the same 10 questions that I get, and I see people nodding their heads, right? I mean, we get it. Whether it's from a team member, whether it's from a potential customer, I get questions all the time. Oh, no problem. I have the answers to those questions right here. Do you want me to text those to you? Do you want me to email them to you? And I always give people,
here's my Zoom room. Here's how to get a hold of me. Here's
how you book an appointment. I'm going to send you my Calendarly card or whatever it is. Here's my Zoom card, and it's just got a direct link to my Zoom meeting room. You can think about how.
I also use it for my networking group, right? So completely different than something I'm selling is, hey, I'm going to invite you to this event. And then if you're interested in joining, hey, here's the card with all the links to everybody's affiliate codes. And then, oh, now that you've joined and you're a new member, here's all the things to do as a new member. Mm-hmm. So you can also, there's just so many paths you can travel depending on what it is you're promoting, selling, sharing, the nonprofit, ER got told how we use it with the nonprofit.
I love that. To hear the testimonial as if I'd never heard about the solution before was amazing.
I did not tell that story. I have not told that story. We'll have to share on that. Jeff, Jeff wanted to add in.
Well, now you got me intrigued. I want to hear stories.
I know.
You want to hear it, guys?
Yeah.
So
I'll
obviously Kathy was in town and she brought with her a few friends as part of this networking group, and we all had an opportunity to meet up. We went out to lunch. We went up to Red Rocks here in Colorado, which is a big amphitheater, and we were all just sort of talking everything, right? Yeah, you've been to that place. It's cool. And so we're sitting in a place called Morrison Inn, having some drinks and some food. And one of the people runs the nonprofit that Kathy works with, and they use a card. And think about this, not just a nonprofit to, here's how you donate. Here's how you can give to support this nonprofit, but also for the people who leverage the nonprofit's services, right? The clients of the nonprofit. And she's like, oh my gosh, I use this shuffle card every single day because we have clients who leverage the nonprofit every day, and they need to know the steps of what to do in their time of need to leverage this nonprofit. And so I'm sending this card out every single day, multiple times per day to support those people. She's like, you have to check this thing out. This thing is awesome. It helps our nonprofit so much. And I had to turn to her and say, I know, that's why we created the technology. She almost had forgot, or it lapsed, that I was one of the co-founders of the company. And to hear a user who becomes a brand champion because of the value that the page, all it was, and guys, it didn't need to be complex. Although we're talking about you have the ability to create multiple cards, even if you just create one card that serves one purpose for what you do in your business every single day and saves you a little bit of time or helps a customer make a better informed decision. That's the whole goal. And we've already identified those things because we deal with those obstacles in our business every single day. That's why I say, like, what are the common questions you get asked about your business all the time? Because if you listen to your audience, they're going to tell you everything. What are the objections that they always give to you? What are the questions they ask about the product or the service? Is that going to save me time? Is that going to make me money? Is, whatever they're asking, and then build a card that best supports that. So when the opportunity presents itself, you're already prepared. Going along with this nonprofit conversation, it reminds me of the story, Kathy, that you shared with me, where somebody was asking about the nonprofit and requesting some more information about the nonprofit with the expectation. And here's the reality, guys. All we're using technology to do is create a positive experience for the people we're interacting with. And it raises our credibility above and beyond. And when you are perceived as an authority and have more credibility than the person you're dealing with, now they want to do something with you. They want to work with you. They want to leverage you, all of those types of things. So Kathy gets this question, well, can you send me some more information about Little Souls? And, their expectation is that Kathy's going to take down their information in the next 3 or 4 days. They'll get an email because that's how it's done right now, right? And it's slow and it's cumbersome and it probably gets lost in the email queue if it's anything like my email inbox. Instead, Kathy's like, sure, no problem. Got it right here, pulls up the card, shares it with the person, all in the same, literally within a minute of them asking for the information. This is why we want to do the preparation, to think about the processes and the systems that we do in our business every day so that we can develop the supporting tools. Remember, Shuffle doesn't do work for you. It just supports you doing your work. So when somebody asks, hey, do you have more information on that? Or, oh, that sounds interesting. As listeners, those are those buying questions. We always hear about buying questions. How much does that cost? What's in that? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? What does that entail? Oh, well, let me get you some information. Especially, this, guys, is what's so important, especially if you're dealing with somebody who might be a team member, who's new to a team, who's on the learning curve themselves. If you can give them some canned information, they don't have to parrot, or as we hear in the industry so often, like word vomit on people trying to reiterate what they heard from the CEO or from the chief scientific officer or from the company. They say, oh, my company put out a video for that. Let me just share it with you. Right? Oh, I've got some information on that. There's the brochure that overviews the scientific research and the 530 patents we've got on this technology. Here you go. It's just being prepared with the information in a digital format because everybody's got a digital reader in their pocket 24/7, it seems like. I mean, they're like, it's next to their bed, waking them up in the morning. They're listening to it at night, carry it around every single day. So instead of giving them a piece of paper or a pamphlet or something that they're going to put in a pocket, they're going to throw away, you give them something that's right where their attention is so that they can engage with it. And then if you followed our 5 steps on creating a landing page, right? Goal, elements, element order, calls to action, design. If you do those things with all of the content you create, it always serves a purpose when you share it with somebody.
Yeah, but to watch your friend try and sell the founder of the company on the app that she's showing them, it was priceless.
It was. I think we had to remind her 2 or 3 times that I was the creator of the solution. She's like, you have to get this. You can use this. I use it every day. And I was like, I just love hearing that because that's what we want. We want somebody who's going to use this technology every single day to help them benefit and advance forward whatever they're working on.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Jeff, so tell us what was in your brain.
Well, to that same topic, there's some really cool ways to sort of, again, questions are basically objections wrapped with a question mark, right? Price, is it hard? Can I do it? Will it help me? And so one of the things I use a couple techniques. One of them at the beginning of early in my funnel process, I like to say, one of the biggest questions I get or we get is this expensive? Or is this, what's the difference between this and this or whatever? And the second question we get, will this really help my business? So whatever, as you guys are all listening, ask yourself, what's the number one question that you get, which is usually kind of an objection, you know. So, and then go through all the questions. And again, I brought this up about a week or two ago. You should get a piece of paper out, 4 columns, write out every single objection that they mold into a question. And then the other way to do it, I've seen this done in presentations where, let's say I'm presenting about this great new weight loss shake, because I don't deal with weight loss shakes. I'm not, so that's why I always use it as an example, because I'm not pitching it. But it's got, you know, I can go on and on about the features, the benefits, all these testimonials. And at the very end of the presentation, you can say, now, we're just ready to wrap up. You can get this, you know, started at this price, and this is the deal. And, you know, but here's a couple of the questions that are coming through. And you can say, here's one of the questions we get is, will this be safe? Can I take this if I'm a vegan? Can I? And all of a sudden, you're not just answering questions, you're already proactively asking the questions. And so this happened on the podcast I was listening to. And again, I won't mention, but it was a podcast with 2 guys that run an agency and another guy here, and he's asking the questions. Well, he's saying, okay, guys, we got some questions coming in about, you know, everything from cost to how hard it is. Because the biggest thing is people think that they can't sell and they're not techie.
Yep.
Or they can't afford it, or they don't have time.
Yep.
After those 4, is LFI too hard? Well, you know, and then you can answer that question. So, you know, what we found is our users find that, you know, and then all of a sudden you smash that false belief, but you turn that false belief, that objection into a question, and then you're answering it sort of like proactively, like, you know, instead of saying, oh no, you know, and we all get defensive when we get a question asked. But if you proactively flip that script, put it in a video, put it in your FAQs, do it in a, you know, whether an interview, like if I did an interview right now with ER, I would have 10 questions ready to go. I'd put them on a tee and I'd let him hit I won't swear, let him hit the crap out of all 10 of my questions. Well, ER, you know, some of the people that I've run into, digital business cards, they don't know what that is. Can you, what exactly, for those people out there that are wondering what a digital business card, what the heck is it? Right. And then I shut up, ER takes over. And then say, oh, here's another question, ER. They're wondering, you know, about the expense. What's the cost? Websites can cost thousands and thousands of dollars. And then they got hundreds of monthly costs to keep it going. What can you tell us a little bit about the LFI solution in terms of somebody who's on a budget? Can you talk to me about that? Do you see how I'm asking these questions, you guys? Set and then get somebody who is sort of just a notch up to answer those questions. And you're not defensively selling. Well, ER, what would I do? I hate to sell. I'm horrible at it, but I have a product that I really believe in, and I think people should have it. This digital business card. I hate to sell, but I'd like to be an affiliate, but I hate selling. Can you tell me more about that? What would I do? So all of a sudden you're just becoming the person who's watching, and they're thinking that question already. Is this making sense to everybody?
It totally makes sense. And I think you can even categorize those FAQ type of pages or even spots within a page based on the audience, right? Like if I'm talking to a prospective customer, here are frequently asked questions by customers, potential customers. And you know, don't have to have 100, but hit the top 5 that you hear about all the time, or the top 3. The same thing with team members. Here's frequently asked questions we get from new team members. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is. And just push that out. You know, I think being prepared with that stuff, whether it's on a card or whether you have it in the back of your mind for part of the conversation, what I really like to think about is I'm not trying to create all and everything within Shuffle to where I'm not talking at all and I'm just sharing cards. I'm trying to make high tech meet and link up with high touch. Because when I'm having a conversation with somebody, I'm listening to them and I'm asking those questions, and they're going to self-select and identify what card I should then present to them. And if I've done my homework ahead of time in preparation, I'll already have all of those cards available within my deck. All right.
Sorry, I was typing. Yes, all the things. And I think, Tanya, we had kind of discussed that a little bit too. You were saying how in some of the chapters and some of the networking, you were saying how people still aren't familiar with digital business cards.
Yeah. Well, everybody knows it in downtown McKinney, but every time I go somewhere else and show up with my card, they're like, that's really cool. So I've made it my mission to go everywhere else. You and I are going to divide and conquer.
There you go. Like Johnny Appleseed, you just want to be walking around sort of sharing the fruits
Yeah.
as you go out there. And it blows my mind. New technology, again, can create magic for the people who've never experienced it before, right? Like we all know these things. The moment you pull out one of these and you're like, oh yeah, let me see your phone, boop. And if they've never experienced that before, you see their eyes and their eyes are like,
Oh, I know. The first time that happened to me, I was like, yeah.
how did you do that? Right? Like when their response and their first response is, how did you do that, guys? That's a buying question. Oh, it's really easy. I've got this little NFC card called Tap from Elify, and I've got an app that corresponds it with all the digital content I can put on this. It takes me like 10 seconds to set this up, and I can share it to any mobile device to show you how.
Okay,
You know?
but that goes back to my original question that you can't track whatever you're sharing with them in that card. So we have to put in some tracking information in that.
So if you use the campaign link instead of a card link,
Okay.
to be on your tap cards, now you do have tracking. And
I
if
like
you
it.
use the campaign link with a lead capture, you can not only have the tracking for the campaign, but you can gather information from the individual you're sharing it with. So there is a way to do it, but if you aren't aware of the ways, you're going to miss out on those advantages.
Okay, that's awesome.
Love when
yeah,
you
you
ask the
can track
questions,
how
the
many
order I got the
times-
answers, right?
Yeah, track- campaign will track how many times. Campaign with lead capture, if they fill it out, will track who.
Yep.
Yeah, and so the question is, it's interesting. You said I just did this for a doc. He had to go to a conference, right? And so I made his card, and then the link that I for the card, I made it a campaign, and it was whatever the conference, October Chiropractors Conference.
Mhm.
Then I had the choice of just having that just be a campaign without any form. I said, no, let's go ahead and put one at the bottom. I didn't want to, so I just put one at the bottom that said, basically, who knows what I said. If you think this is freaking crazy technology, get in touch with me, whatever. If you want to grow your practice, you know me, I came up with some crazy copy about how you could just blow up your chiropractic practice like I'm doing with this digital card, get a hold. And so that's, I think, the example. Is that right, Kathy?
And if you want, I mean, we can go through a campaign quick training. We've got 15 minutes left, guys. If you want to go through that, Tanya, and then I'll show you how to add that to your tap card.
Yeah, that would be great. I'm all about it. Yes.
Okay, well, let's do it. I'm going to share my phone again. We'll go through it, and we'll use one of our Doug demo cards here. Screen share. And Anna, I've been checking out the chat. I would recommend, I know there's a way to do it on Android. I'm just using Apple's AirPlay to share, and Zoom has that already integrated in. So I just select it, and then I select to share through AirPlay on my laptop. So I don't even need a cord, but some other ones will have a cord there for you to use. I'm gonna do what I always do. We're gonna start out.
My
start
apologies. Is
Oh, go
AirPlay
ahead.
an app through Zoom?
No, AirPlay is like a screen sharing tool for Apple to Apple devices. Because my laptop is an Apple and my phone is an Apple, I can take my phone screen and put it on my laptop. And then Zoom just allows you to select what window on your on your device you want to
Okay.
share. So I'm selecting that AirPlay screen.
All right.
But you could probably do a Google search for how to share my Android device in Zoom. And they'll either tell you have to join the Zoom through your phone as well as your computer so you can share directly. I've seen people do that. Or they'll show you got to plug in your Android into your laptop and then you can select it and share it through. But I'm 99% sure there's probably a path to share it. And this has been one of the instrumental tools, guys. This is not a Shuffle tool, but this is instrumental in sharing how we do things. Because as you know, Shuffle is available on your phone as a native application, on your phone as a web. If you ever got into a pinch and you had to use the web browser, you could do it from your phone, and on your computer from your regular computer browser. So we've got this here. Tanya, I'm going to launch the application. On any one of the cards that you already have, you can create a campaign for that card. So again, I'm going to come up to one I've done a bunch of times, construction card here. Okay, we'll show you what that card looks like so everybody has a good example. It's just Baldwin Construction. He's the general contractor here. Very simple digital business card. Again, remember, your introduction card doesn't have to have everything on it. It just has your contact information, maybe a little bit of information about what you do. I didn't put videos on this card or anything. But what we want to do is we're going to share this card at an event, and we're going to use our tap card to do it. And we're going to have a little pop-up form that says, leave me your info, and it collects their name and phone number. We'll do something real simple like that. So we're going to jump over into our Shuffle application, and we're under the same construction card, and I'm selecting campaigns. You can see you can have unlimited number of campaigns, guys. This is pretty phenomenal from the standpoint of a linking process. Is you have to realize it's like having one web page, but instead of that web page having one URL, you can have a bunch of different URLs that all point to the same web page, but you can measure against each of them. So we go in here, we create a campaign. We're going to hit the little green plus sign to create a new campaign. We're going to do like networking event. Let's just say it's 10, 25, 22. Again, I'm just trying to give myself some information so that when I look back on the results, I say, oh, wow, I had 25 taps at that time and 15 people filled out the form, okay? So we'll hit done on that. You can set notifications. If you're doing a campaign and you don't like your phone going off a lot, this is good if you're posting on social media, like a Facebook group with 10,000 people. You don't want your phone to go off 100 times. Well, maybe you do, but letting you know, because sometimes that can get annoying. So sometimes I'll turn those into a daily summary that just gets sent to me, and it'll tell me how many times that card got viewed in the last 24 hours. You can do that as part of the campaign, okay? Then I'm going to, you see at the very bottom, include lead capture off. I'm selecting that and I'm going to turn it on. And that's going to allow me to build a little lead capture form for this card. I want definitely to get individual notifications, but you can do the same type of summary there. And we're going to show the lead capture form not at the bottom of the card, but as an optional pop-up. Okay, so we want when I tap their device, it's going to pop up. It's going to ask them for their information. Once they submit it, they'll see the card I'll give you mine if you give me yours type of thing. And then I'm going to say, leave me your info. Leave me your info. And then the first default field you'll see here says first name. We'll also collect, and we'll put another text field in there, and we'll call it phone.
Now,
So
again, this is while he's doing this. So again, this is just telling you who scanned it if they fill this out. It's not adding the tracking feature to future sends.
Correct. But I will now have a contact. So just like Kathy showed at the beginning of today's call, I can jump into that contact. I can go to my shared cards, and now every card I send to that contact will track back to the contact. That initial view is going to be for a campaign with the lead capture form. So we're just going to say that that's there. You can turn and make it mandatory if you want. That means they need to leave a name and a phone number, or you can make some of your fields optional. In this case, we need some contact information. So we're going to require their first name and their phone number, and we're going to hit save. Okay, that's all we had to do. We're checking that off. And now we have everything with lead capture form. Once we create a campaign, it's going to present us with the campaign link and the QR code. What I'm going to do now that I have a campaign, and most of us already have campaigns, so you won't have to go through those steps, is we're going to put that campaign on this tap card. And that starts by copying the campaign link. You can just see me copy it over and over and over again. Guys, copy the link first for your campaign. Once you have the link copied, you're going to go into your tap tool setting. Okay, that's on the main bottom under more, down here at the bottom, under tap tools. Okay, we're going to program our tap card by tapping it. You can also program your tap card by scanning the QR code. Tap it. I tap it, it detects the card. It asks me to enter in the URL. I want to call out, this says select digital business card. That's the non-trackable links, guys. So we want to use a campaign. We made a link specific for that we copied a second ago. And we're going to enter in the URL by pasting that in. Remember what I called out, T equals tracking? We see our T right there. So we're hitting done and we're hitting save. It's done. We've just programmed our tap card with a campaign and we're all done. So now we can close our app and let's pretend we just met somebody at an event. Okay, we're going to tap the card to their thing and it's going to pop up our link. We're going to open that link in Chrome. It's going to take us to our campaign and there's our form popping up. They're going to enter in their phone information, right? Name is Bob. Phone number is 123-123-1234. I don't know if you're on 10-digit dialing, right? And they'll submit that form to us. And when they submit it, it'll say thank you. And now my business card is behind it or whatever card I want it to link it to. But what's going on in the background, guys, is all of that additional magic, right? So if we are back in our application and we're looking at our activity, in real time, we'll see when this loads. Let's relaunch it. In real time, did I just lose my, there we go, activity. Come on. We've got a new contact Bob here, and it's going to do a few things for us, right? It shows us when we created the campaign. It shows us when people viewed the campaign. So that's the tap on the card. So if you had a bunch of card shares during that event, you're going to see a bunch of those. Somebody viewed your tap, somebody viewed your tap. But because there's a form associated with it, we can see, look, we just got a new contact Bob from that card. And then what you're doing as the follow-up that we talked about is in the contact section, we now have our new contact Bob, and all future cards, we would go to my shared cards, and these are all trackable that we would share with them. So that's how you would use your tap card to track a campaign and to gather leads, and then to follow up with those leads with additional marketing information.
Can you go back to Bob? Yeah. And note also here, you can see where you captured that additional
Lead
data down there at the
captured,
bottom.
networking event, it's all down here at the bottom. Sorry, I keep taking screenshots, but that's how I get my little editor here. All makes sense to everybody, and this has been recorded. So if I went too fast, guys, because I tend to have the gift of gab, please go back and watch this in replay, and you can stop and rewind it and go through each of those step by step. Everything,
That's awesome.
everything we've done today, guys, we've been doing on the mobile device, okay? I want to remind everybody, everything we did on the mobile device is equally available on your computer with less thumb damage, right? So if you have time to create your campaigns before you go to the event, everything I did, I could have been doing in the car before I walked into the event, right? But we want to be prepared ahead of time, the night before the event, the day before the event. Whenever I know and I'm doing my weekly planning, I might create an activity. Oh, I need to create the campaign for my events this week. I need to create the lead capture for my events this week. Once you have those there, then the programming, as you saw, of your tap card is literally copy the campaign link, open up your tap tools, paste the link, and save it to the card.
Okay, because I'm always doing it ahead of time. Can you add a campaign on the app to a desktop build card?
Yes.
Okay.
You just cannot edit a desktop built card on the phone.
Okay. That's why I was like, can you do that? Very interesting. See that? I just learned something too. Always make them ahead of time.
I think we got a few minutes left. Any last questions or
I'm
anything
still
like that?
learning.
Seriously, everybody, it's always a learning thing.
Guys,
Especially
I
with game
learn
stuff.
stuff. I learn stuff new every day from the standpoint of different uses. Kathy, you and I talk about this all the time. If you can imagine every single page that exists on the web, right, in the cloud, those are all landing pages. So that's literally the uses that you could use this platform for. So you're really just limited by your imagination and your creativity. And as Jeff put it earlier, you don't have to be technical. We get that question all the time, right? I'm going to hit some questions. Do I have to be technical? Do I have to have a degree in computer science? Do I have to be a programmer? Do I have to be a designer? No. You just have to be able to drag and drop, cut and paste, upload a photo, things that we've now become accustomed to. You know what I mean? And the learning curve on this, there is one, but typically, like most technologies, it's a lower learning curve. And the more you stick with it and use it and put it into practice every day, you heard Kathy say it a moment ago. Like when she's meeting people at networking events, she's handing them her phone, she's asking them questions while she's looking up her card. It makes it look seamless. And that, again, elevates her in the eyes of the person that she's interacting with. Oh my gosh, Kathy's got it together. She's the digital card pro. She's a connector. She can do all of this stuff. You know, I want to work with Kathy type of thing. And that's what we want you guys to create for yourself.
Love it. Well, Guy, we see that you jumped on to join us. Anything exciting going on in your world anything you want to add to our call today?
I don't think there's much I want to add other than the fact of we're diligently working in the background on some pretty cool stuff. I know if you were on with me Thursday, I didn't even let ER know that I gave like a 30-second sneak peek to some pretty cool things and put that, little asterisk type statement out there that it's subject to change because we've already changed things. We've already talked with development on some layout stuff. But that sneak peek was pretty fun to be able to do that. And maybe we'll have another one. There is a point where we may reach out to some of you to be able to do some testing for us, just giving your feedback. Kathy, you're an expert in using it. I know, basically everyone else that's on here is a full-fledged user, and being able to give us feedback from, we've talked version 3 and version 3 is increasingly coming to more and more fruition from a beta aspect, and then being able to reverse engineer to figure out when we're going to release this. But we're just excited. It gives our development team, our design team, more free will from the aspect of we identify, ER and I identify LFI Shuffle. It's been in market for 5 years. It needs a facelift. And so it's time to inject that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you brought that up, Guy. I always liken development, guys. We're a technology company first and foremost. I know that we're a community, and I love this community so much. When I think about technology development, you think about it like writing a great novel, right? So version 2 is like writing Moby Dick. Okay. And we're still looking for spelling errors and missing periods and stuff like that every now and then within technology. Now we're working on A Tale of Two Cities and stuff like that, guys. And it's a big undertaking, but ultimately the goal has always been, how do we make technology easier to use, more accessible for more people, because we understand the power of these tools. We understand the power of things like QR codes or NFC technology or landing pages or lead capture or relationship building tools, and the power that it can help each and every one of us do in whatever our profession is. And that's why Guy and I are such staunch proponents of you've got to be a user of technology. If you're not, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage. And when you see technology that you can leverage, and there's a lot of stuff out there, guys, pick and choose. You can't do everything. There's just never enough time in the day, and there's no easy button. But when you can make it accessible to everybody, intuitive and easy to use, that's always our goal here at LFI. So I like V2, don't get me wrong, but what we're working on with the third version, I think it's going to be a game changer. So stick around. That means we should join more calls, guys, right? Join more calls. We've got the Thursday roundtable call coming up on Thursday. We've got our Friday with the founders call on Fridays, Monday sprint planning Mondays, Tech Tuesday on Tuesdays. If you guys haven't gotten it, the Week at a Glance card is a great way to join these calls. I'm going to put that into everybody here on the chat. So before we wrap this up, take an opportunity to open that up. If you're anything like me, I just keep it open in one of the tabs in my browser so I can always jump over to it. I jumped over to today to join this call, so it's already serving a value to me. But yeah, check that out. And if you want to invite anybody else to a call, you're more than welcome to. Again, these are open to anybody within the LFI community.
If you're anything like ER and I, we have many tabs open. So that's the thing. Don't always be like us from that aspect. But,
for sure.
If you do it, you know where it is, on what screen, on what tab, on what window.
On what screen? Yeah, what screen?
I added more broadband so I could open more windows.
I always thought I had a bunch of windows open until I saw it on their computers and I was like, nope, hands down, you win. Both of them. I don't know how they don't just blow up. Fantastic. Anything else? We'll wrap up today. There is the card for the week at a glance card. Save that, open it, save it to your shuffle. If you guys have any other questions, we will see you next week. We didn't get to, I know Kathy wasn't here, so I'll keep that on the back burner on how to create that landing page-ish card that we have. And any other questions, y'all drop it in the LFI Insiders group or let us know how we can help, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, buddy.
Have a good week.
Here.
Bye.